guys to another edition of Bamcomixs. I'm your host OC. This is my buddy. Say hello to the camera. We're gonna use him for our non-spoiler and spoiler review takes on the Mandalorian. This is our mid-season review. But let's talk about 4. Let's talk about the siege. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And do me that favor and hit that subscribe, hit that like, and if you want, you better hit that follow. No guys, listen, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe and notification button for more Bamcomixs video news reviews. So, getting into this episode, I was like, holy snap, we got a new Star Wars episode coming out. I saw some Imperial footage, some previews showing the soldiers, and I was like, man, this is gonna be a nuts episode. And after viewing it for the second time, I can assure you guys that at first, I wasn't really feeling it, but after seeing it the second time, I was like, okay, this one is called The Siege. And basically what we have is Mando going back to Navarro to visit his old friends Cara Dune and Greef. And the episode is pretty cool, you know. He goes to this planet because of course he needs repairs. Now mind you guys, I started doing these as spoilers, so by now this review is going to have spoilers for it. Okay, the non-spoiler part of it is that this was a 4 out of 5 star episode. I was gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5, but then I watched it a second time and I was like, there were some things that I forgave it. So if you're watching up to now, just remember it's an awesome episode. Or don't even remember that, just watch it because it's 4 stars, okay? But let's start with episode 4. Let's talk a little bit about it. Now, episode 4, again, you see that it's spoilers, okay guys? So this is spoilers. That Mando is going back to Navarro because his ship is just disastrous. The Razor Crest needs repair. And Mando is out in space and it's kind of like, it's time to go to some old friends that I know. Because everybody wants me dead, right? So I need to go back to Navarro. Why? Because I got some people there that can help me out. Namely, Cara Dune and Greef. I need to say his whole name, Greef. Greef! Big shout out to Carl Weathers who directed this episode, which is why I raised it up a little higher. But yeah, he just needs repairs. He goes back to Navarro. And of course, now it's some downtime for our crew. Now it's a little bit of downtime for Baby Yoda, the child. You're in a classroom on Navarro, and he takes out his little hand. They gotta drop him off, because the place that they're going is no place for a child. So when he touches down on Navarro, after they make the, you know, they get a crew in to inspect his ship, you know, to make it new, and one of the crew people is looking like he's looking suspect, he's looking shady, he's looking back at Mando like, I know this guy from somewhere. But well, what ends up happening is that they drop their ship down there for repairs. Baby Yoda, they leave him in a school, in a classroom, and the episode starts crazy because it's the gimmick of Baby Yoda. Now, it's okay, you have a gimmick, you know you're cute. In the beginning of the episode starts off with the wire. So, blue wire or red wire, which one are you gonna pick? You don't know? The blue wire goes with the blue wire, the red wire goes with the red wire. Do you know how to do this? So, basically a cute little moment in there in the beginning, and then a second cute moment when he's in Navarro and he steals that boy's cookies, huh? You gonna steal that boy's cookies? It's only one. How many did you eat? Well, suffice to say that this little prankster is going to be off screen for the majority of the episode because there's a mission, there's something that his friends want him to do. A favor for a favor mission, like I always say. Appears that there is an Imperial base on Navarro, and this episode had me excited at the fact of Imperial base. Even the music changes. I'm wiping my ass because it's just so beautiful that we have again the appearance of the Empire in the show, the mention of the Empire. I always told you guys, like, when it comes to Empire, Okay, as a Star Wars fan, like, I'm big on Empire lore. So any episode that furthers the lore of the Galactic Empire, I'm down with that. Okay, episode 3, the Siege. I'm sorry, not the Siege, the Heiress. Episode 3 was amazing for that. Was amazing for the fact that, you know, it's like a hijack of a carrier. But it's like, as it's departing orbit, this one, there's a base, and it's run by a skeleton crew. So which means that there's not a lot of Imperial soldiers on the base. And that's where the majority of the Imperial soldiers came from. When you saw in the last episode of season 1, you see a flame trooper, you see all of these Imperial soldiers, like, where they come from? Well, they came from this base, right? So you see it on the map like Firefly. It's so cool. Not like Firefly, but, you know, you see it on the global map, and Carl Weathers' Greaves character is like, yes, you know, once we get the Empire off this planet, we will be a shipping anchor for the entire galactic space or whatever, for the world. So, you know, this is the last remnant of the Empire since the expansion, and if they manage to get rid of this base, then the planet of Navarro will be free, right? So I just thought it was so exciting how, like, they show the base and they approach the base using a speeder, and we see one of the characters from previous episodes here. I call him the fish guy, but he has his name that Mando captured prior, and he's helping them out with Cara Dune and Greaves. So it's a 4-man crew, you know, and they go in there to check out this base. And you see Mando rocket up inside the base, and the base is empty for the most part, you know? And, you know, they're gonna go in and destroy it because it's built on a lava bed or whatever. So they destroy that, and everything explodes. But what got me about this episode was, like, he's saying that there's a bunch of Imperial hardware, weapons, and, like, so much stuff that on the black market could be worth a pretty penny, let me tell you. So I wish they would have, like, maybe stolen some stuff from that base before destroying it. And at first I thought it was too easy for them, the way they infiltrated the base and everything like that. But then when I watched it a second time, I figured out in my mind that this was again a pawn, right? The third episode of The Heiress was so strong because they showed you one of the commanders played by character actor, and he plays Bosch, right? So that was so cool. I just wish they could have had a cameo appearance by another actor in an Imperial role. That would have been great. But again, you know the deal. Baby Yoda is already exposed, so Mando has to fly out of the base, and for the remainder of the episode we just have Cara Dune, Greef, and the fish guy. So it was pretty cool as they were exiting the base that they come across a lab, and in that laboratory the scientists they find a recording. They see tanks of what could be like clones, or it's like they're in a science lab. As they exit upon the destruction of the base, they already set up the lava right there to explode. They set up the explosives to detonate the whole base, to destroy the base. And as they're leaving, they come across this laboratory, and in this laboratory they found out that Moff Gideon needs blood to stay alive, and that's why he's hunting the child. The child's the only subject that enough blood could have been like the perfect donor, the perfect match. You're the perfect match for Moff Gideon, and that's why he wants you. You understand? But in there, in the science lab, you see a whole bunch of these tubes of what could have been like other failed experiments, and then, you know, they think it's a forward operating base. It's really like a science base. But all right, when he knows that, right, when they know that the Empire wants you, boom! Mandalorian flies back to the school, and we're only treated to our 3 friends, Cara Dune, Greef, and the fish guy. So they have to escape. So now the base is on full high alert. Now, one of the things I thought was kind of weird in this episode was that after they set up the initial detonating sequence to make the base explode, a couple of Imperial soldiers go back to that same spot. And in my mind, I think, okay, he can deactivate it because now he's back there. He's back, he sees it, he can deactivate the explosive, you know, sequence so the base doesn't explode. But I thought that was a loose thread. Like, why show these two guys in there and him doing it? At least let him show us that he's trying to do it. He couldn't, right? And the base had to explode anyway. Anyway, they show them off in there. They're pinned down as they exit the base. They see a tank speeder or something. It's like a huge tank, right? I know there's a name for this vehicle in Star Wars. Star Wars has names for all of its vehicles. So this transport, which we see, right? Cara Dune operates it. Boom! They escape from the base, and 4 TIE fighters come down and start attacking them. And in this sequence, you see it's like Carl Weathers is doing his thing as a director, just showing the action from the sky and from the ground. And just as these TIE fighters were going to destroy them upon their escape, in flies the Razor's Crest. Cue the music, and the Razor's Crest is doing all of these flips and horizontal loops and vertical loops and all these things, and then you see Baby Yoda going flying around like this, turning around and stuff like that. So at the end of the episode, we see the camera pan over a Star Destroyer. And what I've always loved about Star Wars is the technology that they use in the world of Star Wars, be it ships, droids, any type of technology. It's like you're looking at another world. It's just like, so aboard the bridge of the Star Destroyer, we see one of the officers has confirmation from a agent deep inside Navarro, and one of the workers on the Razor's Crest had installed a tracking beacon on the Razor's Crest. And the source, you see you see aboard the Star Destroyer, it's like G.I. Joe and Cobra. It's nuts. It's like aboard the Star Destroyer, you see listening an Imperial rank. There's a rank, cadet or whatever, lieutenant, I don't know, but she's there listening to it. And she goes to Moff Gideon, and she walks to Moff Gideon, and she says the subject is still alive. Like, we have him. He's like, are you sure? Like, along the lines of like, okay, do you have him, the subject? And he's still with the asset or whatever. So they're tracked already. So Moff Gideon's like, yeah, we'll have them very soon. And what you see behind Moff Gideon, like, you see scientists, like the type of scientists that worked on the Death Star, but these are like different scientists and stuff. And you see rows and rows on either side of Moff Gideon. Like, on either side of him, there's a rows of these robots that look crazy. They look like an evolved version of the Roger of just the plain droids. These guys look like souped up super droids. So yeah, that was episode 4, and that was the siege. I wish we could have spent a little bit more time inside the Imperial base, just because this episode came in at about, I think, 35 minutes, and that's another thing, guys, like, short, long, whatever, but it's like we want more. So I give that one a 4 out of 4. At first I was gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5, but 4 out of 4. If it wasn't for that last scene, it definitely would have gotten a 3 out of 5. But Giano, my man, like, he came through, as Moff Gideon came through at the end of the episode, and it was amazing. Moff Gideon raised the level of the episode. Alright, that was episode 4.